Hello there, how are you doing? Jo Barnes here and welcome to another episode of Make It Happen Monday, and I hope you've had a fantastic week. I'm making this video from a beautiful place. I always start my videos in time from a beautiful place, and it is beautiful. I'm in Mai at the moment, which is up the top of Phuket Island, and it's absolutely gorgeous. You can see from the reflection in the window behind me. Now, what I want to talk about this week is the great subject of fear, and the fact that I completely and utterly understand, because I get it, as does everybody. Anybody that tells you that they don't suffer from fear whatsoever with anything they do, I honestly believe, not that I'm a psychologist and I have not clearly interviewed everybody in the world, but I honestly believe that they might be telling you a bit of a porky, because I reckon, bearing in mind the old sort of reptilian part of our brain has got us set up to anticipate and to flee from fear, I reckon every single one of us experiences it at some point or another. And, you know, it can come at those times when, you know, it just kind of comes from nowhere, and we don't really know what to do. For instance, you might be thinking about launching a new blog. I know I had an email a long time ago now from a good friend of mine who said, "Hey Jo, I'm about to launch my blog and I'm really, really scared, and, you know, I don't know whether to go live or what to do with it." I've had umpteen emails and messages and things like that over the years from people about to launch an opt-in funnel, a list building funnel, who are like, "Oh my God, what happens if it doesn't work? You know, what happens if I put it out there and nobody likes it?" These days, making videos, public videos or podcasts or creating a social media account, all of these things can create great fear within us. I mean, if you think about it, it's been cited numerous times now that public speaking is a greater fear to a greater number of people than death. Yeah, people would rather die than actually get out on a stage in front of thousands of people and speak publicly. And these days on social media, doing video, doing live video, doing podcasts, all that kind of stuff, yes, you're kind of behind, you know, the comfort of your own home or whatever, if you like, but essentially it's a type of public speaking, isn't it? So I imagine it can raise an enormous amount of fright in many people. And it's okay, you know, that's what today's video is all about. It's all right to be scared. We all get scared. Please don't look at successful people or people doing what you want to do and think to yourself, "Wow, they're amazing. How are they so natural? How do they do that so well?" I do it with people I see speaking on stage all the time. I think, "Oh my God, he's so good." But he's been doing it for 5 years. He's done 500 speaking gigs. Do you think his first speaking gig was absolutely phenomenal? Probably not. You know, these things come from practice and trying again. So, you know, my message to you today is it's all right to be scared. Let me tell you a little story. Years and years ago, when I first started online, I was part of a forum. For those of you who remember good old Chris Mentor Me and his membership site, Chris Farrell membership site, and I was part of his membership site right at the very beginning, part of his Chris Mentor Me program, and he had a great forum, a really, really good active forum full of loads of fantastic people. And I remember putting together my first opt-in funnel. It was a series of videos on how not to start a business, I think it was called, or how to start a business smartly, something like that. And I'd made these videos to encourage people to opt into my funnel. And I remember thinking to myself, what if this doesn't work? What if nobody opts in? What if it just is total rubbish? What if people judge me? What if people think I'm terrible? What if people hate me? Oh my God. And I remember writing a post in this forum saying, "Guys, I am petrified. You know, I am literally petrified of getting this funnel live." And all of these people came and said, "Oh, Jo, you know, don't worry about it. It's going to be great. Get it out there, do it, make it happen. It's going to be fantastic." And the encouragement and support from that group of people was so special. And, you know, it gave me the confidence to go and get that compelling offer up there, and the rest is history. So that's why I wanted to make today's video, to give you some encouragement, to give you some support. It's all good, all right? You've got to take action to make it happen. Oh, that's a good little phrase. You've got to take action to make it happen. It kind of rhymes. Anyway, I digress. You've got to take action to make it happen. You've got to move out of your comfort zone at some point. You know, it's going to happen. It's the only way to grow. So it's all good. So what's your challenge for this week? Your challenge is think about a situation, think about something maybe that you're facing right now, where you're feeling a bit scared, a bit nervous, really apprehensive. Should you, shouldn't you? Think about that situation, all right? And then ask yourself, there's a really good little trick here, what's the absolute worst that could happen? Seriously, what is the worst that could happen when you do that? If you put your opt-in funnel up and nobody signs up, what's the worst that can happen? Nobody signs up. That's it. That's it. We're not talking life or death here. If you launch your blog and you don't get 100,000 visits in the first month, what's the worst that's going to happen? Yeah, you don't get those visits. I mean, we're talking, you know, if the worst that can happen is, you know, clearly absolute, you know, something awful happening to you, something awful happening to your family, blah, 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 don't do it. But if the worst that can happen is simply that people aren't going to read it, or they're not going to show up, or they're not going to click yes or whatever, then it's not too bad, is it? So chunk it down, work out what is the worst that can happen. And I got that tip, by the way, from a really good book that I advise you read. It's called Stop Worrying and Start Living by Dale Carnegie. I've recommended it before. You may have heard me recommend it before. I recommend it again. It's one of those classics. Stop Worrying and Start Living by Dale Carnegie. A highly recommended book there. And he talks about chunking down and considering what's the absolute worst that can happen. So step number one, think about the situation that's causing you absolute, you know, frozen fear right now. Number two, break it down and work out what is the absolute worst that can happen. And I guarantee you it won't be anything as bad as you think it's going to be. And then step number three, make it happen. Every single time you move out of your comfort zone, you are going to feel better. You're going to suddenly realize it's nowhere near as bad as you thought it was, and you're going to have grown. And then next time you come up against it, you're going to feel more confident to burst through that fear barrier and make it happen. So that's it for this week. I hope that you have thoroughly enjoyed this episode. Thank you for joining me. And just have an absolutely phenomenal week. And I will see you next week. And of course, remember, make it happen.